take a moment to ground out the space and just give thanks for a quick minute. Can you hear me? So thank you for coming out. And I was saying, if you didn't hear me, meet someone new tonight. I want to give a blessing to the Most High Creator, giving thanks for our lives, bringing everybody here smoothly, safely, to the Mama Earth, carrying us beneath our feet, protection, guidance, love, nurturing. To the next 7 generations yet to come, the main reason why we are all here tonight. And to all indigenous lands upon this planet, and the people and the cultures, to my roots in Hawaii, Northern Luzon tribes, to all indigenous peoples of this country and this world. May we be protected, preserved. To Leonard Peltier, unjustly locked up for over 34 years at this point now. Sending him love right now. Do you believe that we can change this world? I'm asking, do you believe that we can change this world into a brighter place for all the children to be? Do you believe that we can change this world, where the water is pure and the land is free? I'm asking, do you believe? Do you believe? Lay down those weapons, yes. Lay down your mind. Lay down those guns. Leave all doubt behind. Say, we are the ones that we've been waiting for. Throw back the curtain, 'cause it's time to open the door to the fruit of our labors, to the seeds that we sow. We must nurture them in the garden within. I say you, and you, and you, and you, and you. Oh, oh, do you believe? Do you believe that we can change this world? That we can change this world? I said we can change this world into a brighter Thank you so much. And I want to introduce the directors of Women's Earth Alliance, Melinda Kramer and Amira Diamond. Actually, first I want to give some thanks out to people that came through tonight that really deserve some honor. And maybe if everybody wants to go like that after each name. These are all the organizations that came through tonight to share their work. And thank you for everything that you guys are doing in the community. We have American Indian Contemporary Arts, Bay Native Circle, Land and Life, Indigenous Permaculture Project that couldn't make it tonight, but sending them love anyways, International Indian Treaty Council, Intertribal Friendship House, 1,000 Hummingbirds, Rooted in Community, Shell Mound Walk, Snag Magazine, 7th Native American Generation Youth Magazine, Sacred Land Film Project, and Winona Wintu. And to Anne-Marie Sayers of Indian Canyon Village, who couldn't be here tonight, sending her blessings too. Thank you.
Give it up for Nikila Badua. We're so lucky to have Nikila on our team, directing, community organizing, and art direction. Everything beautiful that you see, Nikila probably put her fingers on it. So I want to welcome you again tonight. I want to hear from you. So anyone who's been at a Women's Earth Alliance event, let me hear some noise. Yeah. I mean, are we together? Are we together? Let me hear. Are we together? Yeah. So welcome to those who have not been to a Women's Earth Alliance event. The community just keeps expanding. We are so grateful. And I just want to share a little bit about Women's Earth Alliance before we start the program tonight. Women's Earth Alliance is an organization that for the last 4.5 years has been building solutions to issues of water, food, and land through one key strategy, and that is supporting the women leaders in this world who are on the front lines of environmental degradation, of climate change, who are working day in and day out to address these issues. We coordinate training, advocacy support, funding, alliance building for these women because we know they are holding it down. And we started this organization because we knew that women were the first to be impacted by these issues, and as a result, the first responders. We see it in our own country here. We see it all over the world. It's happening. And so our theory of change is when women thrive, communities and the earth thrive. It's so simple, and we see the statistics show that when women have the training, the tools, the resources they need, communities are better off environmentally, socially, politically, you name it, it's happening. And so our work in sub-Saharan Africa is working to build a movement of women who are trained in water and sanitation, and they're training hundreds of others in these appropriate water technologies and building a community of people who are self-reliant, who aren't relying on international development projects that may or may not show up. These are the projects: rainwater harvesting, solar, pasteurization, water filtration. This movement is growing by the day. We're in 11 African nations, working in 75 communities, and the women are spreading this like wildfire. In India, and in India, our India director is here, Rucha Chitnis. Where's Rucha? Here's Rucha. And our work in India is working to build a cadre of women expert trainers in sustainable agriculture and traditional knowledge and climate change resilience. And our work in North America, you're going to learn more about tonight. But we recently sent a newsletter out, and the subject of the newsletter was a light in the dark. And truly, when we think about what we're in right now, these are dark times. We are in dark times, and there's many ways to say it. We are in deep doo-doo. We are in over our heads. Times are dark, and it's not from the the news headlines that are in our face. We're seeing this, we're feeling this from the real lives that are being profoundly impacted, that are inextricably linked to issues of environmental injustice, of water degradation, of food shortages. We are really seeing what is happening in communities because the accounts are so real. I mean, we hear accounts of lives that are being affected so deeply. Land and sacred sites that are being lost, that are being toxified. We're hearing about not a single one of our colleagues in Africa doesn't know someone, a child, a friend who has lost their life to water degradation, waterborne diseases. This is real. This is real, and so this work really is about bringing light to the dark. The women who we are working with are illuminating our way forward. Every day, Navajo women leaders who are promoting water or promoting wind and solar, Indian women farmers who are saving seas, who are farming organically, women who in Africa who are bringing clean water and economic opportunity. The light is there, and the men who stand alongside those women day in and day out, lighting the path. And so the theme tonight is a light in the dark, and we are so excited to share with you our work in North America and to have our wonderful guest Winona with us. So I'd like to introduce you to Amira Diamond. And Amira brought something really special to Women's Earth Alliance 3.5 years ago. We knew this work wasn't done until we brought it full circle, until we were telling the stories in our own communities, until we were gathering like this. And so you are a part of an event tonight, which is our Weaving the Worlds series. And Amira will tell you more about it.
The dream of this work is really about partnership. It's really about collaboration, and it's really about the power that happens when all of us come together and say that we can do something and say that this is our world, this is our place. We want to see it look a way that we feel good about. We want to leave it in a way that we feel inspired to leave it. And so our Weaving the Worlds program has really been about gathering groups around us who are just as dynamic as Women's Earth Alliance, that are out there on the front lines, that are addressing issues in their communities, and who are really taking a stand. I want to acknowledge some of the groups who've helped tonight be possible, our promotional partners, and some of them have had tables here tonight. But I want to name Global Exchange, the Global Fund for Women, Green for All, Bay Localize, the National Lawyers Guild, and our fiscal sponsors, the Earth Island Institute, who has given us a tremendous amount of support to be who we are today. So thanks to all these groups for showing up here on the front lines. Over the last several years, we've hosted about 45 events. They've been in people's living rooms. They've been here at the Brower Center. Many of them have been here at the Brower Center. And the thing that is the same about all these events is that it's been a group of committed people who really stand as our partners. So I want to acknowledge that the work that you hear about tonight and the work that Melinda just shared with you about has happened because of the people that are here in this room and the people who have sat in circles with us and in rooms with us for the last 4.5 years. Our organization, right down to the way that we fund our initiatives, is based on our relationships. It's based on partnerships and a deep alliance. So I want to just take this moment also to give gratitude to the people who have stepped forward to help Women's Earth Alliance be the way that it is today. We have monthly donors. We have our giving circle who steps forward and gives a 3-year commitment. We have foundations who commit to our work. And so I want to, if you're in the Women's Earth Alliance giving circle, if you would go ahead and stand. And if you're a foundation here that supports Women's Earth Alliance, if you would stand so that we can give you a round of applause tonight. We want to thank our partners in that way. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. You go ahead.
I can't forget to thank AJ Pell, who's here somewhere, who's our event producer and Peridot Events. Thank you so much, AJ. And my wonderful husband, Eric Fenster, and Back to Earth Catering and Gather Restaurant for feeding us so fully. Thank you. And I'd also like to thank our dear friend Ahmed and Numi T. We're so thankful to have you in the house.
So I could talk on about Women's Earth Alliance philosophy about grassroots organizing, but I think we have some more exciting things to hear tonight. So I want to introduce to you a visionary woman who went to law school. She went to Bolt. She went on to work at the Center for Human Rights and the Environment. She's worked with Earth Justice. She's worked with NRDC. And along her path, she saw a different kind of light and stepped towards Women's Earth Alliance. Her name is Caitlin Sislin.
And Caitlin's the program director of our North America program. Caitlin has been a part of this work from the very beginning. She was one of the 30 founding women back in 2005 and has been carving this work for this whole time, doing such an incredible job. Thank you, Caitlin.
Hi, everybody. I'm going to see you again in a minute, but I just wanted to take this moment to introduce the video that we're about to show, which is the video from our May 2010 advocacy delegation defending sacred places in the Southwest. So watch and enjoy, and see you in about 9 minutes.
On this Defending Sacred Places advocacy delegation is really threefold. First, we're here to learn. We're being entrusted with this information so that we can return to our communities and our networks as knowledge ambassadors, raising awareness about the impacts of our collective consumption choices on the sacred places to these communities and on the land that we share here in the United States. In Northern Nevada, we met with Carrie Dan, a longtime land rights activist and Western Shoshone elder, who showed us the devastating impact of gold mining on holy Mount Dinabo, which is home to local Shoshone creation stories, and which is now a site of one of the largest open-pit cyanide heap leach gold mines in the United States.
Coming out here and showing your support, first of all, to something, because it gives people hope. It lets people know that other people are watching and that other people care. And that really means something.
I've cared about this mountain for some time now, and I've been following the story, not showing up, but it was time to show up. I want to remember the sense memories of being here, and I want to take those back with me and be able to find a new way to communicate this to people. And I don't think I can do that without coming.
I do really believe they got an underground tunnel right there where all these trucks are going.
here with the goal of mutual empowerment, that by coming together as women, as allies, as people who care so deeply and so passionately about this earth and about her people and about the preservation of sacred places for their own sake, that we can become stronger. In northern Arizona, we are meeting with the Save the Peaks Coalition, and Janita Benali and her family and colleagues are working to protect the sacred San Francisco peaks from desecration by the use of sewer water to create artificial snow.
What happens to her will affect us. It will affect us in a way that is mental, spiritual, physical, and emotional, because that is our direct connection with our holy mountain.
We're not give up while we're still here. If you want to help us, it's good. Yeah, we need help.
We're also visiting the Havasupai tribe, whose village at the bottom of the Grand Canyon is being threatened by uranium mining at the rim of the canyon. The sacred mountain to the Havasupai, called Red Butte, is located just 3 miles away from a proposed uranium mine. Red Butte is where the Havasupai perform their ceremonies and go for spiritual healing and renewal.
Those of you that haven't met Carletta Toulouse, you're in for a treat. She's this incredibly powerful, relatively young leader with Havasupai. This is the future, in Native nations. Right now, the strongest messenger is the indigenous female voice.
We're not just concerned about the sacred mountain, we're very concerned about the contamination of the water source. So we're talking about a huge contamination of lots of people. I think that's what's the most frightening thing.
We're here in preparation for action. Our work is really responding to a call for support in the realm of advocacy. And these advocacy delegations are a core component of the advocacy network. When women travel to these sacred lands where the holiest of places are being threatened by development, by extractive industry, they see and they become prepared to share with their communities what's happening, and they become prepared to act and to step forward as leaders to preserve the earth and to promote human rights in indigenous communities.
Oftentimes when you think of the Native Americans, we think that it's a closed book, that all the damage that could ever be done has already been done, that there's nothing really more that we could do to help. And in fact, that's not true. These people are fighting every day and they need allies. Thank you so much for coming, and thank you for your interest in this really important issue.
Our team is investigating the question, how can we advance our system of laws and policies and business practices to protect the sacred? To build a system that acknowledges human relationship to a living earth and which holds the sacred in the highest regard.
We rely on, I call them our lifelines, and I would consider Women's Earth Alliance as one of those lifelines.
what was it somebody told me the Dalai Lama said the other day, women are going to save the world? Well, cool. You know, I think he's right.
If people are feeling like there's no hope, if they feel like they can't get there from here, they feel like they're not going to make a difference. What I learned this week is absolutely we're going to make a difference. And so don't feel like you can't make a difference, because you can.
You are needed at this time. You are welcome and wanted by the earth herself to participate in this extraordinary work.
My hope for the future is that our great-grandchildren can live in balance and respect with our Mother Earth.
I want to thank Marlo McKenzie of Sacred Land Film Project, who put together that beautiful film and who has done media for work with us on all of our advocacy delegations. And I want to take a moment to thank the advocates. There are many participants of our advocacy delegations in the house tonight and members of our advocacy network. And so I'd like to just invite everyone who has been involved in the advocacy network to stand up, and maybe we could get the house lights up for a moment, maybe not. But if you're a part of the advocacy network, please stand so we can applaud you. Thank you. So, the North America program of Women's Earth Alliance, the core component, as you've seen, is our advocacy network, which is about linking Indigenous women environmental justice leaders throughout North America with a network of pro bono legal and policy and business advocates for advocacy towards sacred sites protection, environmental health, and energy justice. So what does that mean? Why are we doing that? Well, you saw some of it in the movie, but here in the US, as everywhere in the world, Indigenous communities are on the front lines of the environmental crisis. Some examples of what's happening here. Black Mesa Mountain, which is a sacred mountain to the Navajo people, a sacred female mountain, is the site of the largest coal deposit in the United States and also the largest coal strip mine. And so for 40 years, this coal has been withdrawn from the sacred mountain in a way that impacts the land, impacts the water, and impacts the health of the people while contributing to fossil fuel use. The Colorado Plateau, which is home to tribes like the Navajo, the Hopi, the Havasupai, is also home to over 1,000 abandoned uranium mines. And as well, the largest nuclear spill in US history at Rio Puerco. And that also impacts the health of the people, the health of the miners. As you've seen in some communities, an average of one person in each family has died from exposure to uranium. The Canadian tar sands are known as the largest industrial project in the world in the Athabascan region. This region is also home to First Nations such as the Mikisew, the Cree, and the Dene. And the tar sands oil extraction affects, again, the water, the land, and the health of the people. And finally, climate change. Just as everywhere in the world, here in North America, Indigenous peoples with subsistence traditions and with close relationships to the land are on the front lines, are the first to feel climate change impacts. But in the face of all of this, something incredible is happening and has been happening. And that is the movement for environmental justice in Indigenous communities that is led largely by women and men who are stepping forward to say no to harmful development and to say yes and to usher in alternate forms of economic and environmental development. And As a law student organizing around environmental justice at Berkeley and as a practicing attorney, I saw this movement, and I also saw the barriers between Indigenous environmental justice leaders and the advocacy community. With the exception of a few brave and talented organizations, very few advocates had the tools or the relationships to really step forward and offer their support and solidarity with this movement. And so I was fortunate in 2006 to be able to join with Women's Earth Alliance and to build an initiative that was about bridging that barrier to access. So how have we been doing it? Since we began a few years ago, we have focused on building relationships. We've run 3 advocacy delegations, like the you saw in the video, where leading women advocates from across the advocacy spectrum were able to sit in dialogue and witness what was happening on Indigenous lands and to return home to their communities as knowledge ambassadors. In each of those advocacy delegations, we were able to share 15 solidarity grants, which were immediate offerings of financial assistance in reciprocity for the time that our allies spent with us. We have also, through our advocacy delegations and our work, cultivated an advocacy network of over 60 members who represent large law firms, Wilson, Sonsini, Goodrich, and Rosati, Shepard, Mullen, who represent law clinics from across the United States, Columbia University, New York University, Arizona University, who represent nonprofit organizations like International Accountability Project, Green for All, and the Science and Environmental Health Network, and who are independent practitioners who care so deeply about this work. And so with this work of building relationships, linking with our 15 Indigenous environmental justice project partners, we have been able to understand the issues and identify the key points of intervention, such that since the launch, the formal launch of our advocacy network in 2008, we have completed or have ongoing 35 projects that are advocacy initiatives, advocacy collaborations around these issues. So what are some of those projects? So has everyone heard of the tar sands? So as I mentioned, this is the largest industrial project in the world. And the US is the main consumer of oil from the tar sands. And so how does that oil get from this incredibly destructive, energy-intensive extraction zone to the Gulf of Mexico where the refineries are? Through pipelines. There are already several pipelines that are in existence across North America. And there's a proposal on the table for another one called Keystone XL that's intended to be made of thinner steel than the previous pipelines. And as we know, as we all feel so deeply, oil spills are nothing to mess with. And our Indigenous project partners in the Indigenous Environmental Network know that this pipeline cannot cross the lands and the waterways of their constituents. So our advocacy network commented on the environmental impact statement of the State Department. And because of the many comment letters that came in, and because of all of the efforts of all of the groups around these issues, the State Department recently announced that this pipeline is on hold indefinitely while they further review. We are so fortunate to have with us tonight Colleen Sisk-Franco, who is the head of the Winnemem-Wintu tribe. And the Winnemem-Wintu are situated near Mount Shasta, where water is life, and where salmon are a core relation to the human community. And there is a hydropower facility on the McCloud River that is being proposed to expand. And this expansion would decimate the salmon population and would further interfere with access to sacred places. And so one of our advocates has been able to work with the Winnemem-Wintu to seek to stop this expansion. Back in the southwestern region, in 2008, one of our advocates was able to take a look at the stimulus bill and see whether funding was available for tribal renewable energy projects, and see that it in fact was. And our colleagues, the Navajo Green Economy Coalition, used this information as part of their campaign to lobby for the passage of a bill that would create new green economic opportunities in the Navajo Nation and shift the nation away from coal. And they succeeded in passing that historic bill last summer. So let's give them a round of applause. And we were able to take that partnership a step deeper. And we're now working with the Navajo Green Economy Coalition and some of their colleagues to develop a business plan that will bring solar energy at the utility scale to reclaimed mine land on Black Mesa. So you remember the coal mines on Black Mesa? Well, our colleagues had worked for years to shut one of those mines down, and now that space lies empty as it's being reclaimed. And so their vision is to create solar-powered energy that they'll sell to the grid and that they'll use to power homes on the Navajo Nation, where so many homes go unelectrified as huge power lines, pass overhead. So in all of these efforts and more, we've been able to step in and provide a key piece of technical support that has supported these campaigns in moving forward. And to give you a little bit more of the flavor, I want to invite some of our advocates to step forward and just offer a little bit of their experience. So first, I'm going to invite Stacy Ho, who is a policy associate with Green for All, and who works on local policy innovation, and who was with us on the September 2010 advocacy delegation promoting energy justice on the Navajo Nation.
Hi, everybody. I was called to participate in this delegation because I was really inspired by the work of the Navajo Green Economy Coalition. And I thought I already knew, what was happening on the Navajo Nation because of this. But that was my first lesson in humility, because there's so much more. From the large utility-sized, community-owned solar installation that they're looking at putting on the reclaimed mine lands, to building traditional homes for indigenous elders that include green building practices and renewable energy components, to having a vision for family cooperatives in traditional agriculture. And so and all of these initiatives are really culturally rooted and relevant. And I was just really deeply touched by the idea that we all have traditions and wisdom and grandmothers and grandfathers whose wisdom we can be rooted in and stand in. And after the delegation, I was moved to not only learn more about Native American stories and teachings, but also to become and stay more deeply connected to my own cultural roots, whether it's through rereading the Tao Te Ching or, understanding the progression of art through the dynasties, whatever it may be. And I think these delegations are just so important for the movement for an equitable green economy, because I don't know how, especially for an organization like Green for All, I think we just need to be constantly replenished in our inspiration and motivation and passion, and how better to do that than by being with people and being in communities at the local level to really understand the challenges they're facing, the breakthroughs they experience, and to explore what we can accomplish together when we stand in solidarity. So I really just thank Women's Earth Alliance for this vision and for bringing us to bring all of ourselves in these delegations, to listen and to learn and to be in unity. So thank you.
Next, I'd like to invite Janet Wallace, an environmental attorney, an author, and a dear friend of Women's Earth Alliance, who's with us in the May 2010 delegation.
I am so happy that I went on this trip. I'm an environmental attorney, and I've been following the story of Barrett Gold and what they're doing to Montanovo and communities around the planet, actually. And when I received the invitation from Caitlin and the Women's Earth Alliance to join this delegation, I had no idea it would be like unwrapping a gift every single day I was there. Nothing can replace closing your laptop and actually going to the place where things are happening, where people's lives are being impacted. And the intimacy that I came home with has renewed my work commitment, my joy in the choice that I've made in the path that I'm following with my work, with the relationships that I have thankfully made with Caitlin and the women there at Women's Earth Alliance. But nothing can really, if anyone has the opportunity to join a delegation or to have the intimacy of the relationships, none of them could actually exist had Caitlin not paved the way. To walk into people's homes and to share stories and to be welcome into truly sacred places where people through generations have celebrated the stories, the rituals, the seasons, the generations. And to be there as a stranger, but to be welcome, could not have taken place but for the work that Caitlin has done. And for me, it was such a joy to be able to live a moment. I can always see in my work the legal angles, the screen, but to get out of the screen and to put the phone down and to just walk on that mountain has renewed my commitment to everything that I hold very, very dear. So I want to thank you very much for the invitation, and I can't wait to go back.
Right. Thank you so much, Janet. And finally, I'd like to invite Mark Levitan, who is a private law practitioner in federal Indian law and who also represents the International Council of 13 Indigenous Grandmothers, to share a bit about your work.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Mark Levitan. As Caitlin said, we're a good-looking crew. And I've been practicing Indian law for 14 years, and I started on the Navajo reservation, where I worked for legal aid for 3 years. And so I come to this work of working with Indigenous people, basically from the beginning of my law practice. And I've worked in private practice for many years as well. I've helped build casinos and things like that. I know that's probably running through some of your minds. And then I said, I'm not having enough time to work in the pro bono world, being with a private law firm. So I needed to break out on my own. So this past year I did that, and I've been in private practice for a little less than a year now. And I came to this relationship with the Women's Earth Alliance through the Grandmothers Council. And I just want to tell a story about the first Grandmothers Council gathering. It was called the Global Women's Gathering, and all the Indigenous grandmothers that eventually formed this council were there, and also a lot of Western grandmothers were there, Carol Mosley Braun and Gloria Steinem and Alice Walker, and they were all sitting on a stage together. And they were going down the row introducing themselves, and of course the Indigenous grandmothers were saying, these are my people, and this is my clan, and this is my lineage, and this is who I am. And it was all in the context of their people that they were introducing themselves. And when it came to Gloria Steinem, she stood up and she said, "My name is Gloria Steinem, and I come from the people that lost its memory." And for me, that's why I do this work, is because I come from the people that lost its memory. And when I work with Indigenous people, I remember something deep inside of myself. And so all the things we're talking about tonight, about the problems in the world that attorneys in the Pro Bono Advocacy Network can go out and help save by helping people, by gifting their intelligence and their legal skills, that's all true, but the gifts are going both ways. And I think I actually have received more than I've given in the work that I've done. And that's the gift that we have at this time, is the gift of receiving what it feels like to be in relationship with people who haven't lost their memories, and to learn from that. And when we take that home and we share it, then we treat people on the street differently. We treat the checkout clerk at the grocery store differently. We treat our in-laws differently. The people in our lives see the effect of it, right? And that's what we're carrying. So I just want to encourage this work to continue. Thank you to the Women's Earth Alliance for what you're doing.
We're now going to return to the slideshow and hear words from Anna Rondon, who's a longtime uranium activist and with whom we partnered to support her work in building healing gardens throughout the Navajo Nation to reconnect people with traditional foodways and medicine.
We have a responsibility to protect our children, and we have a responsibility to protect creation since we give life. We have that in our hands. And I wanted to express my appreciation to Women's Earth Alliance because I believe the time has come that where people from all over the world are now regrouping. We're becoming a family of one creation. And doing that, bringing our voices together and meeting other women from around the world is very important to us.
You can see here a map of solar energy potential in the United States concentrated in the Southwest and the Colorado Plateau, where so many indigenous nations are working to bring green energy. And so given the depth and the breadth and the power of this movement, given the tapestry that's being created, the Women's Earth Alliance strand is one that is about, right into the mic, got it. Hi everyone in the overflow room, sorry. The Women's Earth Alliance strand in this web, in this tapestry, is about mobilizing expert support for community solutions around economic and environmental transformation. It's about building relationships so that Indigenous women who are leading environmental justice campaigns have the support that they need to do their work, and so that advocates have the opportunity to step forward and to offer their support and to learn in return. And each time we take a stand, each time we step forward, it's about telling a different story. It's about telling the story of what's possible for our shared existence here in North America and on the planet. And so where is our work going? In the coming months and years, we are preparing to build working groups that will take an even more sophisticated and integrated approach to advocacy. We're going to convene an advocacy summit that will deepen our linkages, build new ones, and set our advocacy agenda. And of course, we will continue to build our advocacy network to bring in more advocates and to create more opportunities for these kinds of collaborations. I hope that in the video and in this presentation, you've gotten a sense of the power that is coming forth at this time, led by Indigenous women for environmental justice, for clean energy, and for a relationship with land that is based in equity and resilience and sustainability. And I want to say that Women's Earth Alliance is so honored to be in solidarity with these incredible leaders and with this incredible movement, and to do everything that we can to ensure that these campaigns flourish and take root. And I invite everyone to join with us in this collaboration. Thank you. And now it is my great honor to introduce Winona LaDuke. Winona is from the Anishinaabe Nation, and she's an internationally renowned activist working on issues of sustainable development, renewable energy, and food systems. She lives and works on the White Earth Reservation in northern Minnesota and is a two-time vice presidential candidate with Ralph Nader for the Green Party. As program director of Honor the Earth, she works nationally and internationally on issues of climate change, renewable energy, and environmental justice within Indigenous communities. In her own community, she's the founder of the White Earth Land Recovery Project, one of the largest reservation-based nonprofit organizations in the country. I also want to say that Winona, in her lifelong dedication to energy justice and sustainability and resilience, has been spearheading a project at Diné College in the Navajo Nation that on our most recent advocacy delegation, we had the opportunity to learn about firsthand a solar installation. And we've also had the opportunity to work with her in the advocacy network. So Winona, thank you so much for being with us tonight, and it's my deep honor to welcome you.
Hi. Thank you. Hi there. I had no idea there would be so many of you. Anin Nindoe Maganatuk. That's hello, my relatives. Binisikwa Indigenicas Makwando Dam. I'm Bear Clan, and my name is Binisikwe, which is also Thunderbird Woman. That's my name up in my community. And I'm from Gawababani Kog, Ishkaniganing. It's white earth. It's because it refers to the clay that is there. We don't have any uranium. Every day I wake up and I'm thankful for that one. But I was real thankful, honored to be asked to come here to visit with you tonight. I'll tell you the story how because I'm one of your projects too. And so that's why I come, because these ladies helped us out when I needed some help. And I know what it's like to be someplace and you're working and you're kind of tired, and it's good to have someone help you when you need that help. So this month in our language is called Gashkad no Gizis. I'm just going to tell you this because I kind of like how it sounds, Gashkad no Gizis, which means freezing over moon. I don't think that's happening here, but... And then we have Manadu Gizis Soons, Little Spirit Moon, Gichi Manadu Gizis, Great Spirit Moon. And we have Namebina Gizis, Sucker Moon, Anabana Gizis. That's my favorite. I like how that sounds, Anabana Gizis. Can you say that? Anabana Gizis. That's good. That means a hard-crusted snow moon. That's when it snows and then it thaws and it freezes again, Also the moon, you don't want to do a faceplant in the snow. And then we have our maple syruping moon and our Wabagana Gizis, our flower moon, Mean Gizis, or Odemina Gizis, strawberry moon, Mean Gizis, blueberry, Menominake Gizis, wild rice making moon. And then we have Watebaga Gizis, when the leaves change color. And then Benakwe Ogizis, when the leaves fall, that moon, Benakwe Ogizis. And I said those because I like how they sound, and where Janine's from, they're little different moons. But did you notice that none of those moons are named after a Roman emperor? I just wanted to point that out. It's possible to have an entire worldview that has nothing to do with empire. And I say that because we remember that. I like what that young guy said. That's right. We know that. But, sometimes people forget that. I think people get kind of addicted to the idea that this is the way it was. It's always been like this, And so part of this whole shift that I see happening that, you are all part of is that people remember that there is something that is way beyond, way before and way after. So, thank you again for the honor of being here tonight. I was real happy, and I do know a lot of people here, which is real nice to see. And I was thinking about what to say, and then Caitlin gave me all these notes, so then I got more confused. But I wanted to say that, I was up at our Madewan ceremonies here about a month ago, and they asked me, it's funny, there's a lot of Ojibways in that ceremony too, and they said, we want you to talk about what's going on out there for us a little bit. So I says, okay. I said, and in a lot of those old, I think it's those Lakota stories, they always say it's a good day to die. You know how they say that? It's a good day to die. I said, like it's a good day to do something great. You know what I mean? That's what I feel like, is it's you got the shot. We're the people who are here now for whatever reason the Creator put us here right now. You know, we aren't at some other time where this time where you can keep them from blowing the top off a mountain. You know, you can keep them from combusting ourselves to oblivion, or genetically engineering the entire world food supply. You know, you got this shot at doing something great, and what a great spiritual opportunity that is, to be part of that, you know? And that's what you are all involved in here. That's what we're all a part of, and I just feel like, you know, you got this chance to do it. And, you know, a lot of people are kind of sedated. I think we all figured that out already. You know, about a third of the country is pretty heavily sedated from what I can figure out, you know? A third are pretty dangerous, a third are really sedated, and then a third are probably like us. I don't know. That's my estimation, and my reservation at least. That's how I think about it, you know. And but a lot of the ones who are active are, you know, they're right. You know, they're people who are really faced with tough things, you know, and a lot of them are women. You know, I mean, there's all kinds of people who are courageous heroes in our communities, but, you know, I think about these people who work for all these years and, you know, in our communities, and it's challenging, you know, because like I think of, a lot of you know Gail Small. She's a great woman in Northern Cheyenne, and for, you know, she wakes up every day I known her my whole adult life, and she sits over this huge coal deposit, you know, at Northern Cheyenne, and every day she wakes up and somebody wants her coal. It's very stressful, you know. I mean, and she fights all these years, you know, but I listen to her and sometimes she is so exasperated and she's down, you know, but she still keeps on fighting, you know, because she's tough. And it's because, you know, that's her land, you know, or you think of, you know, some of these ladies like Sarah James and them up there in the Arctic Refuge. That's tough call too, living over all that oil. You know, and every day you wake up and Exxon's knocking at your door or trying to, you know, sneak in some well on the side. And, you know, it's very, these communities, these people are out there and they're very strong. They're very tough, but we need help. You know, that's the reality of our situation. You know, because we work a lot of times in isolation. You know, I was thinking about it. Recently I applied for a fellowship because I realized that, you know, where I work, I have great work. You know, on my reservation, ever since I got out of college, I worked there. But sometimes you're there and you go into another hearing with like all these redneck county commissioners. You know, that's not unique, I know, to my reservation. But you go in there one more time and they look at you like you are just, you know, not as smart as them because you're a woman, because you're a person of color, you know. Or they look at you, you know, or I was at a hearing in New Mexico here about on my birthday. On my birthday, I went to this hearing on important thing they're doing down there. Environmental Review Board decided it had the right to regulate CO2. Very interesting, because you know that this climate change stuff is not doing too well at the Congress. Did you notice this? And didn't do too good in Copenhagen? Did you notice that too? So turns out, state of New Mexico, some concerned citizens say we'd like the Environmental Review Board to regulate CO2 emissions. And the Environmental Review Board said, you know, we'd like to do that. So then all the coal companies sued them, of course. That's how that goes, right? And so they take it to a little, like, county, San Juan County, all full of oil and gas interests, right? And that judge rules in favor of the coal companies. Then they take it to New Mexico Supreme Court and unanimous decision in favor of the Environmental Review Board. That's good, huh? But someone had to think of that strategy. You know what I'm saying? This whole plan, right? And then you had to keep going and so they asked me to come as an expert witness. I came down there because I know a lot about this green economy. And I know that you can make choices in your community and that the labor and the quality of life and the long-term economic, environmental, and health choices are much better to go green than go coal. That's just, you know, that's not newsflash. That's just what we know that's true. But there's a lot of data on it, you know. So I was down there testifying. I came down and I was laughing. I said, does this have to be my birthday? Do I have to spend my birthday like this? I go down there. I spent 4.5 hours being cross-examined by coal attorneys, you know. And it was okay, though. But anyway, about halfway through, this guy, 2/3 of the way through, this one young lawyer, He comes up to me and he said, I had testified for hours and they'd picked at my footnotes is what they damn did. Really irritated the heck out of me. You know, I said, you gonna ask me anything substantive? Or are you just gonna pick at my footnotes, you guys? You know, and then finally this lawyer says, Ms. LaDuke, are the opinions you're presenting, are those tribal opinions? You know, and I said, I looked at that young man and I said, you know, first of all, I am an indigenous woman and I have been benefited a lot from an indigenous education. I have the privilege of having been with a lot of our great people. I said, but I don't suppose all that time at Harvard and MIT and my master's degrees and 30 years in the field, that don't seem to mean anything to you, does it? You know, but it's this whole inference that somehow if you're an indigenous woman out there looking at these guys, I think that you are somehow not as qualified as those other guys, you know? And that's what it's like, you know? So no matter, you know, how long you've been at it, they still look at you at somehow you're not quite there. You know, you're not quite legitimate to stand there, you know? And I say that because that's, you know, you need friends. You know, you need people that go out there and support you, and you need to be able to break your isolation. So it is a lot of challenges, but it's good. You know what you are all involved in, and you all know it takes a long time. But in these long struggles that we have, there are also moments, and that's when it is. And you got to be able to take those moments and move. You know, when you know that if you do this one thing, it might be a long shot, but if you can do this one thing, that's going to change that dynamic. And those are those times, a lot of times when you need a lawyer, you know? You know, especially if you're chained to something, you might need a lawyer right then. But it's also those times when, you know, you're looking at it and you're saying, you know, I think we could, if we just rock this one last thing, we might get him. And you might be tired, but you're gonna need, you know, and you might need some help. So in our community about 4 years ago, there's this coal plant, Big Stone 2, also known as BS2. And they started 1,000 megawatts. It's in South Dakota. And they just blow toxins over us, you know? And, you know, it was North and South Dakota. It's one of the sweetest wind regimes in the damn country. But they want to put up another coal plant, you know, and all the environmental groups was fighting them. They're doing a good job. First it was 1,000 megawatts, and then they got them down to 500, you know? And then they were just really, you know, their investors were dropping off. And so we're sitting over there, and, you know, sometimes we Native people, well, I can't speak for all, but me, I'll sit there and I'll wait, because if you don't need to weigh in on that battle and someone else got it taken care of, that's good. You know what I'm saying? Because you only got so much energy and so many resources, so you're hoping that the environmental groups got that one. You know, that's how we work in alliance, right? But sometimes they don't got it quite, you know? So we was waiting and I see, and what we decide to do is we decide to take these guys, you know, they're getting close, 500, but I said, you know what? The one thing that hasn't ever been done is that no Native voice has ever been in this arena. They just, they never listened to us. And the reservation that impacted by them was Sisseton. It was their water and their right downwind. And so I say to Sisseton, I didn't say that, sounds funny. I go talk to their environmental program officer. I didn't say to Sisseton, I said, come on, let's go talk to them. Let's go into their town. Because this is one of the things that happens, you know, you guys live in a city or out here, I assume, and a lot of these big corporations have headquarters here. You know, so it's important to face them in their town. But also, in our community, this big corporation had one right by us, and they didn't ever see our face. So we went to see them. We went to see them, and we went and talked to them, and we went to their shareholders meeting, and we had a big forum right in their hometown. And at last minute, that power company, you know how you know when that you won is when that power company announces that the plant is no longer economic. And that's what happened. And we was proud. But I have to say that my problems, not my problem, is we beat them. But then our community, what we want to do and what we're doing is we know what's bad. We know what's wrong. but we also know what's right. And so we put up some wind turbines. We put up a small one first, and now we put up a bigger turbine. It's about a 75 kilowatt, and I got it. And unfortunately, I'm in the middle of my negotiations with that same damn power company, and they don't like me. But we had worked on another wind, but we're going to get it. It takes a little while. But the reason I tell you this story is because we'd worked on another wind project, and you think that all the people involved in wind energy are good people, but some of them don't know what they're doing. I hate to say that. And so I was despairing because I had a wind turbine that just had a lot of problems, and I needed to get the company, the contractors, to give us back the money. And us in our office were so exhausted. And my friend Faye, she's like, "Oh, it's never gonna work out. It's never gonna work out." You ever have a girlfriend like that? I said, "Oh, it's never gonna happen. It's never gonna happen." You know what I mean? She's like, "We can't afford it. We can't get a lawyer. We can't arbitrate. We can't get you know how this works, right?" It's like, no. I says, "Faye, no. If we pray hard, we'll find a lawyer who will arbitrate the case for us." And so that's where Caitlin showed up. We were tired and we were kind of discouraged, and then Caitlin, she finds us a lawyer, and it was kind of like, ta-da! So I want to say that because even, you're out there, and sometimes you need a friend to go that last round with you, make it happen. And so these women have been real good to us. That's why I want to come tonight and share a little bit of our stories with you. I just want to say, in the end, I don't know, in the end I could ramble forever, obviously. But it's a long haul. I saw that very young, beautiful woman come up here earlier, and I was sitting here with my friend, and I said, "Oh, I'm feeling a little older, But prepare for a long haul. You know what I'm saying? I've been at it about 30 years. My mom kicks my ass at yoga. She's 78, so I'm thinking, we're good. We're good. But I say that because pace yourselves. You know this, right? We got to work together over a long haul. Remember that we are doing a good thing. One of my favorite words is that Hawaiian word. It's pono. You ever hear that word, pono? It's to be righteous. To be righteous. And there's a great power in pono. And that's what we're doing here. That's what you're doing in supporting this work. And, and I thank you for that. And I have to say that last year I went and, how many of you saw that movie? I was embarrassed to ask. How many of you saw that movie, Avatar? Did y'all see? It's okay. You can raise your hand. It's okay. I know, I raised a lot of kids and grandkids. I was, of course, in the first row with the 3D glasses. Just because I could. I was like, wow. I could do this legitimately. I could sit with the 5-year-old in the first row. And I did go twice, I have to say. And the little kids were like, the Indians won. That's what they said. And that was a cool thing. Indians won. But I remember I went to the UN last year at the UN, and James Cameron, the guy who produced it, right? He came to the UN. You probably heard him. Do you guys all hear him talk before? No, he came to the UN because indigenous people invited him to the UN to talk at the UN Permanent Forum and explain to them about Avatar. They were very interested in this, so it's kind of cool. And and of course they had a premiere, and all the Amazonian Indians had the 3D glasses in the front. It was like a totally awesome scene, but everybody really liked it, And then he came. He was a nice guy, and he came to talk, and he said, and I was listening to him in the back, and he said, it was the most big film, right? Like most highly attended or something like that, right? It's like, incredible the impact. And he said, he had a political intent in that movie. He was clear about that. They told him he couldn't do it, but he said that what Americans suffer from is denial, a real good case of that, and being overwhelmed, right? Out of whatever, stupidity and also whatever. But to be honest, And then he said that the antidote to that is moral outrage and hope. So he said. And I thought about that, and that is really a moving thing. And what these women here are doing is part of helping us keep our hope. So I want to thank you for coming tonight and for listening to me, and really support everything you're all doing. Miigwech.
There are a lot of people who came a long way to be here tonight. We have our musicians who came all the way from Clear Lake. We have our friends who came from Mount Shasta. I know you flew in from Southern California today, even farther before that. But tonight really is a special night because we are making friends tonight. And there is a lot of hope here because I can say with total confidence that there are a lot of people in this room who are doing what it takes to get the job done at the end of the day. And if it is the end of the day right now, I think with all of us together, there's a lot that can happen. So we're going to pass out some cards right now that will allow you to stay in touch with Women's Earth Alliance. And we take these cards really seriously because they are the way that we can stay in touch. And we've got a couple of different boxes that you can check on these cards, and you'll see that there's opportunities to volunteer with Women's Earth Alliance. We have people who host events for Women's Earth Alliance. We have a lot of interns, many of them that you see tonight, who come and support this work every day, who we could not do this without. Yeah, give it up for the interns, for our team. And these are women and men who just show up and say, whatever it is, I'm here to do the job. And that's what gives us the strength every day to do this. And I know all of you know these same people. So we would really love to be in touch with you. And we would love for you to use these cards as a place where you can write notes, comments about what happened tonight for you, places where you saw yourself wanting to get connected with our work. And if you're inspired to support our work financially, we are really excited about being able to receive green energy. And there is no amount that's too small for Women's Earth Alliance, because the truth is that it's not how much you give, it's that you give. And right now we're at a time where this work really has the ability to grow, and it's not a lack of people stepping forward to do it at this time. It's really about resources. And what we say a lot at Women's Earth Alliance is that we're not having a resource problem in the world right now. We're having an access problem. You know, there's plenty to go around for everyone. I mean, there's just no reason that we can't all have exactly what we need. And so we're here building these bridges to say, okay, well, let's just move the flow right this way, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. Let's just spread it out. What do you say? And so we are really honored to receive any contribution that you might like to make this month. And I want to let you know that we have a group of people who give monthly donations to Women's Earth Alliance. Some people give $5 a month to Women's Earth Alliance, and it's a core group of people who we count on their support. And I mentioned earlier our Giving Circle, who is really a group of individuals that has committed for 3 years. And you'll see on your pledge card, they give at the level of between $1,500 and $100,000 a year for 3 years. And these are the people that have allowed us to make bold steps and say, we're going to be able to show up. I mean, our work, when we partner with organizations, we are so careful about being able to say we're going to be a partner, because if we can't actually follow through on what we say, it's not happening. And so it's our Giving Circle, and it's people who make multi-year pledges to our work that have actually allowed us to be so bold and to continue to expand our partnerships, which is really the bottom line about what we're up to these days. So do you have anything to add, Melinda? I'll just conclude by saying that tonight we are in a circle with so many women and men all over the world. I mean, Melinda shared with you some of the regions where we work, but we had emails coming in from our colleagues in Africa who get our notes saying, wow, Winona's going to be there, that's so great, and have a great night. And, you know, our families and our parents and, you know, our cousins that support this work. And so this really is a family, and may we all just feel held by the fact that we're in this together. And it may seem slow sometimes, but I think we're all starting to really feel the quickening. And so may it be so that just continues to grow. And thank you all for being here tonight. And I second Nikila's advice that we all meet somebody new this evening. And we've still got a little bit of time in the lobby, so I encourage you all to take the chance to meet someone new. And we'll be here to talk to if you have any questions afterwards. And I just want to take the chance to invite our friends back up, Natural Man and T-Hawk, who came all the way down from Clear Lake to be here and to play music with us. And so as we're leaving, we'll get to hear some more of their great sounds. And just thank you for making it all the way here.
And I'd also just one last time love to invite our Women's Earth Alliance team to come up and stand with us for a moment. Nikila and Rucha and Caitlin and Carly and Susan and Beth. Melanie. We are together. We are together. Have a great night, everyone. Thank you again. Let's have some music.